Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Minahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com.
Hey now, my name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, and today we're going to be taking a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Cauldron and is from Altema Games. Now if you like what you see throughout the rest of this video, I would encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page and find out more information about Cauldron. I'm going to have a link at the bottom of your screen and then down in the description section of the video. That will take you to the page and hopefully you'll consider backing the project. Now Cauldron is a competitive game where players take control of magic using characters, and they're all different. There's a druid and there's a witch and there's a wizard and others as well, and you're trying to be the best potion maker in the kingdom in order to become the master infusionist. And you're going to be gathering different ingredients during the harvest season. In the market season, you're going to be using the magic you've accumulated over time as a type of currency in order to make your potion skills better, to outfit your workshop, to get sellers and all these different things, all with the goal of making more and more potions, selling them, getting more magical power, and eventually becoming the best candidate for Master Infusionist. Let's go ahead and take a brief look at how the game is played. Then we're going to come back and I'll let you know my final thoughts. Alright, this is the setup for a 4-player game of Cauldron. The game can actually go up to 5 players, and the number of players will actually dictate the number of tiles that you're going to be using during the course of the game. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get their own unique character that they'll use throughout the course of the game. Each character has 2 different special abilities. They'll apply whenever the card tells you to. Some of them are just always on, and some of them are just per season, for instance. So the Druid's Astrology ability says that she can spend magic to draw a new Omen card. The Replenish ability says that once per season, you can harvest from an empty field. Rolling a die on a 1 or 3, you get an ingredient. On a 4 through 6, you'll get 2 ingredients. That'll make more sense in a little bit. Then, for example, you have the Alchemist. His efficient dosage ability says that once per season when brewing a potion, you do not discard one of the ingredients that you would normally discard. And Improved Construction says that all sellers cost 1 less magic, and you can have up to 3 sellers instead of the normal 2 sellers, and a third costs you 4. Again, this will all make sense when I get to all these little details. Each character is also going to start off with some basic spells and potions. Now these are the spell cards you can use on your turn, again, whenever they apply, and sometimes you can play them out of turn as well in response to other players' spells. So for instance, the Blight spell here says you can remove up to 3 ingredients of a single type from the board. And then you have the Rattlesnake expertise, which lets you harvest this type of ingredient, this snake ingredient. And as a quick action, others cannot harvest snakes until your next turn. So some of them just strictly benefit you, and some of them are just to basically screw over the other players. The potion cards, on the other hand, well, the spells are always going to be hidden information from the other players until you cast them, but potions are going to be public knowledge, and these are essentially how you're going to get magic during the course of the game, which is, of course, also the victory condition as well, because if you can get to 35 magic, you will win the game. So the best way to do that is to get and create potions. So these are examples of basic potions, and basically you just have to have these different types of ingredients, and if you're able to do that, you're going to be able to turn them in for the amount of magic listed at the bottom of the card. As you get to more advanced ingredients, they're going to require more ingredients, to more advanced potions, they're going to require more ingredients, but they're going to score you more magic. And over here is actually the magic track. We'll just go ahead and cover that now. Each player will have a token that starts off at 2 at the head of the magic track. As you can kind of see on the board, there's different effects that are going to kick off when characters hit certain points. So just an example, if someone were to get to 15, potions and the advanced potions and spells are now available for purchase, and every player gets one of those spells. But over at 20 points, Magic Overflow, all players except for the first person through 20 points is going to get a spell for free. Basic spell, to be precise. And then when it gets to 25 points, the Breaking, all players but the first through 25 add or remove a field from the board and receive a basic spell. Now, how the rounds are going to work. First thing you're going to do, you're going to take these dice here. Every player is going to roll one of the dice. Whoever has the highest amount is going to be the first player. Then you're going to go clockwise around. So the step 1 is that you draw an Omen card. The Omen cards are basically going to affect the rest of the rounds of play. So just to give you some examples, you have Gifts in Town, or Circus in Town, excuse me. Player who rolled the lowest on turn order roll gains the magic that they rolled. Magma eruption. The magma crystals be able to produce 2 ingredients this season instead of normally just one. Just show you another couple examples here. You have a cave-in. The highest scoring player, which is what they stand for, that there's also lowest scoring player. The highest scoring player with a cellar loses 1 cellar, but not the ingredients inside. And then Season of Sharing. All players with ingredients and cellars must give 1 to the player on the right. So these are just going to be game effects that happen at the start of the rounds, and you're just going to have to deal with them. It might just be a one-off, or it might last you the rest of the round. The next thing you're going to do is populate all these different fields with the ingredient tokens. Now you'll have extra fields of the different types out here off to the side. These are just the basic fields, which are like the lily pads, the mushroom areas, and the cobwebs. But through different actions during the course of the game, you may be able to bring out the other fields and get different types of ingredients. But for now, you're just going to populate these with the appropriate types of tokens, and I'll do that through the magic of time-lapse. So once you have that all set up, you're now firmly in the harvest season. Everything you've been doing up to now is the harvest season. And now players are going to go in turn order, taking 1 action and then possibly any quick actions that they have to take. And they can take as many quick actions as they want, but they can only take 1 of the normal actions. The first type of action is simply harvesting. You're going to take 1 of the tokens off of 1 of the tiles on the board and simply put it into your supply. Boom, that's it, it's yours. And in fact, this harvest season is going to end when the last ingredient is taken off of the board. The other action you can do is to steal. So if you don't want something off of the center of the table of any of the tiles that are already out there, you can try and steal something from another player. Now you cannot steal something that is in a cellar, which I haven't explained yet, but if someone has a cellar and they have ingredients in there, unless they're using some kind of special power or spell, you cannot just take it out of their cellar. It has to be just in their general stock. But the way that you're going to do this is you're going to roll a die on a 4, 5, or 6, which I did not get on that roll. Then you're going to be able to take that ingredient. If it's anything less than that, you don't get it. You don't get penalized, but you have wasted your action trying to do that. And the last type of action you can take is brewing. And this is where the core of the game comes in, because like I mentioned before, you're going to have potion cards that require certain ingredients. And as a normal action, unless it says otherwise on the bottom of the card, which this one does and this one doesn't, it takes you a normal action in order to discard those ingredients from your stock. So let's say that I had let's say that we actually had these magma fields out here to begin with, but if I had this magma crystal and this mushroom, I can discard these back to their appropriate stacks, and then I can brew this potion, which is going to yield me 3 magic. I'll move up 3 on the track. The potion doesn't go anywhere because it's just like a recipe. You know how to make it from here on out. Now, this potion is quick. It says quick on the bottom of the card. That means for quick actions, you can take as many of them as you want during your turn, and so you can actually make and brew this potion as soon as you grab the last ingredient that you need. So you can spend your normal action to grab that second mushroom that you need, and then immediately brew it because this is a quick action. Then you just wrap up the harvest season. Now, any ingredients that you still have that you didn't use to brew potions and that you don't have in cellars spoil and are gone, and they go back to their stock. You also have the opportunity to get rid of spells and potions if you want, because you can only have a limited amount of them in play. The next part of the round is the market season. This is going to pick up exactly where you left off. So the player who took the last ingredient from the board ends the harvest season. Then it's going to go to the next player in turn order, who's going to begin the market season. And the first thing you do is make purchases. Every player has an opportunity to make 1 purchase. The purchasing power that you have is your magic off of the magic board. You can spend that magic in order to do one of the following. First thing you can do is buy a cellar. Now, if you're anyone except for the alchemist or have any other kind of special ability, you can only have up to 2 cellars. Your first cellar is going to cost you 3 magic, but your second one is going to cost you 4 magic, and then that's it. That's all that you have. Now, the way the cellars work is that as a quick action, you can just store ingredients there. It doesn't take you anything more than that, but every cellar can only hold 1 ingredient. With 3 magic, you can make another type of field. You can take any of the fields that are still available in the stock. So let's say I actually wanted to make that magma field, and these have to be placed so that they're adjacent to 2 different fields that are already out there. You can't just have it hanging off by itself like that. And when you do that, your reward for doing so is actually gain the type of ingredient that it produces, because otherwise that is not your tile. You did not claim that in any kind of way. Anyone can use it from here on out during the harvest season. It will keep producing more and more of this ingredient, but you just gain a bonus 1 for having done so. You can also buy more of the basic spells and advanced spells, which cost you 1 magic for every basic spell and 3 magic for an advanced spell. Remember, you're only able to buy one thing per market turn, but you are limited to 3 spells, so that's why you had the opportunity to discard them before if you wanted to. You can also buy basic and advanced potions. Now, basic potions are going to cost you magic equal to whatever your current number of basic potions are, but advanced ones are whatever your current number of all potions are plus 2, so it can get very expensive, and that's why you might have wanted to discard those earlier. You can have any number of potions that you want, but it just gets more expensive to keep getting more and more of them. Then after everyone has made their choice, they've purchased whatever card they want to, or card or tile or seller that they want to for the turn. Then you go to finishing the market season, and which basically just means you do it all over again. You go back to the beginning, you do the harvest season. Players are going to go around in order. Remember, everyone can have their special abilities to use. You have spells to use whenever it's appropriate. You're trying to get as many ingredients as you can to make the potions that you have to increase your magic, and the first player to get to 35 points is going to be the winner of the game. That's Cauldron. Now let's get to my final thoughts. Oh, actually, I will add on one more thing. You can only win the game and get from 34 to 35 points by brewing a potion, because remember, that is what this game is about. You can't do it through any other kind of funky means. It has to be brewing a potion. Now, let's get to my final thoughts. The first thing that people are going to notice about Cauldron is the theme, and also the artwork and the presentation, which really lend itself to that theme. I think that alchemy seems to be hot nowadays, not just in fantasy culture in general, but also in board gaming in particular, although I do think that Cauldron does quite a few things differently than other alchemy-themed games that I've seen. But this type of theme will definitely appeal to people who are fans of fantasy in general, but also, let's say, Harry Potter is probably the first thing that pops into mind because of competitive wizards making different potions, competing against each other, gathering all these different types of exotic ingredients. Now, the game mechanics themselves, while there is definitely strategy there in the resource management, gathering all these different things together, and also hand management of managing the spells that you have, using them at exactly the right time, and also you could even say hand management as far as the potions that you have, because while those are public knowledge on the table, the more that you have them, the more expensive it is to get more of them, but you want to have as many as possible, because that means that if you're stuck with certain ingredients that you don't necessarily want, as long as you have a potion that can use them, you can still sell it and get magic. So you have all these different strategic elements going on, but at the same time, it is a very accessible game. I would say it's on the lighter end of the spectrum, and therefore more accessible to people who aren't into heavier Euro resource management type games. But at the same time, it has that edge. It has enough of an edge for players who are looking for something to really sink their teeth into. The game is relatively quick. I mean, you can definitely play the game in 45 minutes to an hour, probably not even that much if you're really humming along and have played the game quite a few times. I think, again, that's going to be something that's makes it very accessible to a lot of different players, because it's not always something you can say about heavier resource management games. I think that all in all, there's a lot of interesting mechanics between the way the different seasons work, and it's just stocking up on one season and making your potions, and then in the market season being able to sort of make your potion making facilities better in the way that you see fit. Maybe you just really need to make sure another ingredient gets out on the table, and so you're making a field. Maybe you go for those sellers, knowing when to how to mitigate all these things using your own character special power is really the key to winning the game. So I think this is going to have a lot to offer to people who like the theme, people who like these different types of mechanics, and like it in a very accessible package. That is Cauldron from Ultima Games, and if you're interested in the game, I would encourage you to follow the link at the bottom of your screen, and then down in the description section of this video, those links will take you to the official Kickstarter project page. You can find out more information and hopefully consider backing the project. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.